Frontiers in Bioscience podcast series, where we discuss our past cosmic and biological evolution and our path to own biological and cosmic fate. I am your host, Dr. Sai. I have to take you through this story of understanding the grand universe to the smallest particles that makes us. The true linear thinking that has brought us from the beginning to where we are. The first men who looked at the stars, they came up with a different concept because of their ego. They called that we live in a universe that is geocentric. They saw themselves as the most important thing. Our Earth was at the center of the universe. This idea was even abandoned at 3 BC. For the first time, there was a different conceptual framework. We came up with a conclusion of heliocentric universe. A universe that there is a sun that shines on us was at the center of our understanding, the solar system. But was it the entire reality that we know today? Of course not. We, at the time, thought that there is nothing else except our own galaxy, until a beautiful mind, one of the greatest men ever lived, Isaac Newton, emerged. He wished to know more about our universe, what our universe is made of. He is the first person who made the first reflecting telescope. The power that he has given us to peer through this beautiful cosmos. He is the man. He is the man who in principle came up with the laws of gravity, motion, and optics. He was despaired when he sent his paper to a medical journal or a scientific journal, physical journal, to publish it, and he was rejected. Imagine the sadness that he felt, that for the subsequent 20 years, this man promised himself never to talk about anything in his mind. That's truly tragic. Isaac Newton is the father of understanding the celestial and the heavenly bodies. These have been in the mind of a single man who looked and understood of universe. How and what governs when he saw an apple fall from a tree. He understood the understanding, a mere understanding of gravity itself, is truly was not on anyone's mind until he spoke. It is really ironic why great men have always suffered. Newton was a loner. Why? Because he could not accept the mediocre ideas that surrounded him. He isolated himself. Did anyone else suffer from this? Absolutely. Who is that? My really model in understanding a new modern physics, Albert Einstein. A great spirit and a great mind, also suffered to a point where he said, the greatest spirit in this world get the greatest opposition from mediocre minds. The mediocre mind is incapable of understanding the facts and the truth. Even if you show them, they fail. My true sadness came from understanding that I think the most beautiful man ever lived, Nikola Tesla, also suffered. This man comes to America with hopes and aspirations to help humanity. Imagine, he goes in front of Mr. Edison and he gave him the letter from his mentor. His mentor said, Mr. Edison, there are two great men in this world. One of them, of course, is you. But the other is this young man who's sitting in front of you. Please give him a job. This is ironic. Edison gave him a job, told him that he can create the first motor to create DC, direct electricity, because his vision was to bring electricity across the globe with his understanding of direct electricity. This poor man worked for 3 years, patented 7 patents. And then one day he comes up with the motor and place it on Edison's desk. And he says, sir, this is what you asked for. Can you give me the $50,000 that you promised before you hired me if I ever make such a machine? It is truly sad. Edison looked at him and he smiled and he said, we American, we always joke around. The poor soul, he said, Mr. Edison, please accept my resignation. He went into darkness. He went to dig holes of dirt for 1 year. Such a generous, greatest soul ever lived, that once they asked Einstein, who do you think is the most intelligent man alive? He said, go ask Tesla. Einstein knew that Tesla is the most intelligent man ever lived. Tesla worked for 1 year. He carried his experiment in his mind. Once, Tesla said that the difference between me and Edison is one thing. If a puzzle is given to Mr. Edison to find a needle in a haystack, he will hire thousands of people to take the haystack out to find the needle. I don't do that. I think through it. I find the way to take that needle out of the haystack without such resources and such energy. Tesla, after 1 year, having patented the alternate energy that is now shining on my face, that is shining on you, and he is the creator of everything that we perceive in modern world, was not treated properly. His name wasn't equivalent to success, to humanity, to love and kindness that infused from his lonely heart. He lived alone. He was desperate to bring his vision to this world. What did he do? He went and found Mr. Westinghouse, who bought everything from him, not giving him any money, but giving him bond. $1 million. And he told him, go to Buffalo, the first city that ever lit. He said, go to Buffalo and bring electricity to this place. Nikola says that I was 5 years old when I saw I'm standing on Niagara Falls, and there is a picture of him standing on a stone on Niagara Falls. That's where he went. He knew Edison has no hope because his direct electricity would come down in energy and it was required every 2 miles to be intensified. But he knew that the distance between Niagara Falls and Buffalo was only 20 miles, and he could do that with a turbine that he placed on Niagara Falls. Buffalo became the first city that ever lit. After that, Mr. Westinghouse made a party for millionaires at the time, and he said to Tesla, I want you to light all the lights in here. When the millionaires walked into this space and they saw, they could not believe it was like daylight. That gave Mr. Westinghouse so many orders he could not fulfill. One day, Mr. Westinghouse calls Nikola into his office, and he says, Nikola, I'm sorry that I am going to give you this announcement. First, I am going bankrupt. Do you know what this man, the gentle soul, ever did? He said, wait here, I will be back. He goes to his home, he gets the bond, he comes in front of Mr. Westinghouse and he rips it into pieces. He says, there, now you are not going to go bankrupt. This man wanted to bring wireless electricity to the world, and when his supporter realized his intention that would not allow him to charge people for electricity, he pulled his grant from this man. Nikola Tesla goes to a bank and asks for nearly $100,000 to do this for the world. But the bank rejects him. Nikola Tesla died alone in a single hotel room, and they robbed him of all the writings that he had. I have to give a plea to you, to the world, to my fellow American and fellow being. Please recognize the most noble men among us. Please help them when they are alive, because you are going to bear the fruit of what you do. These people are rare. They never come to be on a regular basis. We have the obligation to recognize the genius, the kind-hearted, gentle souls, that the entire mission in life is to help humanity. Thank you.